it's a training consulting company. We help people measure the return on investment from their meetings and events. So it's an event design consultancy, but focusing on measuring ROI.
Absolutely, and ROI is a key element in marketing. Events are an important part of marketing, so I know that that is an important subject in the events industry. Then we have Michael Martin from ElRow connecting from Barcelona. Michael, how are you tonight?
Hi, everybody. I'm really fine. Thank you for the invitation. It's really a pleasure to be here with all of you.
Perfect. And Michael, could you tell us a little bit, for those who haven't done any parties with you, what is ElRow?
So basically, ElRow, it's like a company. It's like working in the techno sense. And actually, we are holding events around the world. We did last year around 150 events around the whole world. And basically, it's like a 360 experience where you have performers, DJs, tons of confetti, like really extreme party where you get really in deep into the whole story. So you're just going to a party and you are totally in another world. So you can be like in a forest, you can be like in some kind of pirate ships, like in way like different worlds every time. So we have around 19 themes that are just going through all the world, and we are just launching events around the world, and it's around like 5,000 to 10,000 people, and then we have big festivals with ElRow that we are talking then about 30 to 40,000 people.
Perfect. So it's definitely events very based on the experience, on the emotions, and on the relationships among people. So very interesting stories to share in this conversation. And then we have Olena, who's joining from Kiev in Ukraine. Olena is the head of events at UNIT.City, one of the biggest innovation center in Ukraine. Olena, tell us a little bit more about UNIT.City and about the events that you were running in this organization.
Yeah, sure. Hi, guys. Thanks, Mauricio, for this introduction. Yeah, my name is Olena Midzhak, and I'm event producer at UNIT.City, that's the first innovation park in Ukraine. And we lead 100 events per year, and most of them are business and educational, but also things changed according to the quarantine, and we have dozens of different communities. So yeah, pretty much work transforming offline into online during this time. So yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. So also part of an innovation center is connecting people and sharing knowledge, which is essentially something that we do a lot in events. So 2020 has been a very challenging year. Of course, we're discussing in this panel about the events industry, which is pretty much about bringing people together. This is what this event is called, Get Together, because it's exactly what we have been forbidden to do this year. And we're getting together online. So my first question with you, Elling, we had a discussion like 6 months ago at the beginning of the pandemic. And you told me that this would propel this industry 10 years into the future. What is your analysis of this industry 6 months after the beginning of the pandemic?
Well, let me correct myself. Now, a few months later, I'd probably say we propelled ourselves 20 years into the future.
Wow.
Because changing the mindset of people from the physical offline experience of meetings and events to try and emulate a similar experience online is a huge transformation. And that would take a long time. And now everything has sort of exploded, including the development of technology, online meetings technology, from anything from networking to all the tools that we have available to us online, which enable us to do really very much better meetings online, in many cases better online than what you could do physically. So, of course, the pandemic is terrible, and it's causing a lot of hardship for companies and people in the industry, and I feel with all of them, but it's given us a phenomenal opportunity for a transition, propelling us long time into the future.
Okay, so this pandemic has definitely pushed us into a very uncomfortable situation where all event organizers had to get out of their comfort zone and explore new ideas. So I would like to jump on to Michael, because of course we were discussing about the nature of your own events, really emotional parties with loud music and dozens of thousands of people.
Yeah.
How did you live this pandemic? What have you been doing? And what are you up to at the moment?
So basically at the beginning was kind of trying to understand what's happening. Like this is the first step that was kind of really hard, because when we are talking about huge events, we are talking events that we are working with 7-8 months in front. So it's quite complicated when you are taking decisions for an event in 7 months and you are not sure if this event will happen. So this was the first thing at the beginning to say, hey, now that was during March, like what will happen on Q3, Q4, like at the end of the year, we will be able to manage like to run all those events, not etc. So at the beginning was kind of, okay, let's keep calm. Let's see what's happening in the future. We're going to cancel the things that need to be canceled. And from there, we will go on once we can go back, no? But with the time when we see like the situation was going bigger and bigger, then things changed a lot. And then it was kind of, okay, our main product that it's putting thousands of people together and put them like enjoying a party, it changed. Like it's not possible to manage, and now we need to find out how we will proceed the following months and maybe the following year, no? So at the beginning we started working with a lot on socials in trying to bring entertainment at the home of the people. Like actually more in Spain, that the lockdown at the beginning was quite hard, like people couldn't go out at all. And we were like trying to bring this entertainment to the house of each people and each fan we had so far. So one of the ways we did that was working with our mascot. We have a mascot, it's a chicken, it's like a family of chickens. The main mascot is Rogelia. And we were using these mascots to manage like different like live sessions, like doing cocktails, cooking, doing fitness sessions, or doing like some suko session. It's kind of a yoga mixed with music. So it was kind of also matching with the company. And we were actually running a lot of events, like every week running different sessions. And we started also with the home sessions with our resident DJs. And seeing this going farther and farther, because we saw like pandemic, it's going bigger and bigger. Things are not going to be better, like for this year at least. So we start deciding, okay, we need to actually improve our product. It's not only about having the DJ playing the music for the people, it's also giving the people like some kind of show in there. So we started looking for new places where to have the DJs. So we had our DJs playing at Casa Batlló in Barcelona, like one of the really famous buildings of Antoni Gaudí. We had also the DJs playing in Amnesia, like a really known venue for also for our fans. So it was kind of bringing them all the experience, also having performers during the sessions. And this was going more and more. So the next step was how we can bring those users to be up, like to be more involved in our live sessions. And we started making live sessions, and you could actually connect to those live sessions and be live in the same session. So it was kind of bringing those party moods to the houses of the people. Also, we asked people to dress up, like to get costumes on. Like we had also all the themes. We were playing a lot with the themes. So it was the way we tried to bring all this mood into the socials.
Perfect. So indeed, you made an effort into translating the atmosphere, the mascot, the identity of these events, and then bringing more interactivity by also showing the people so they could share also the moment and the experience.
Yeah, of course. Basically, we are an entertainment company, and the main point was we are not able to make it physically. Let's try to make it digitally. So we brought all the entertainment into the digital side. Of course, it's not always the same, but at the end, we were like trying and testing different things and trying to every time getting new things.
Perfect. So, Michael, before we dig deeper into the reaction of the community to these initiatives, I would like to go to Ukraine with Olena. And Olena, we are in a very different context because we are talking more about a corporate environment with academic talks. So how did you live the arrival of the pandemic, and how did you adapt?
Yeah, as I said, we have a lot of events for different audiences, and it was really hard to keep warm connection with them, to keep being this trendsetter, to be the voice of innovation in Ukraine. And when we heard just first warning calls about this COVID and pandemic and lockdown, we started to brainstorm new products. One of those was antiviral. We called it because we wanted to people be against that chaos and that like fear of being locked. So with the slogan, stay smart, stay antiviral, we started our online activities. And we've been doing pretty much good. We had a lot of top speakers. We've been mixing both educational business topics and also entertaining content as well. But during like first months, everything was good. And then we saw that our people don't like webinars anymore. Like as it happened, the market was really overheated by everyone. So we started to do more event activities. We also we had our base of recordings of our previous events in the open access. We start doing also sports trainings, also wine degustations, and while we had our best day during the quarantine. We did also, as you said, with DJs, we had also DJs, and we gave them 5 different locations, 5 different DJs to keep, this warm connection with people. We've been listening to them and asking them, what do you want? Do you want more like educational content? Yes, please. If not, here we have some experts to support you. If not, we can give you, I don't know, psychologists to talk with you if you need that. Yeah, we also had this content too. So we mixed, we tried different. We equipped totally our venues with all the streaming stuff, and we had our streaming partner that could give our residents to do the events, online events during the lockdown too. So we've been changing our plans all the time, and still we change our event strategies according to the accommodation we have.
Perfect. So also definitely a big move into the digital format of events, but rapidly realizing that webinars there's webinar fatigue, and that this is pushing everybody into innovating within the formats. And discussing about innovation, Elling, you were telling us earlier today that you were very surprised about the innovations that are coming in this industry. Could you tell us a little bit more about the ideas that we were discussing?
Yes, and I mean, I've always felt most for people like Michael who produce events which are really just an immersive, physical, shared experience event. I could see online solutions for so many other kinds of events, but not really replicating what you do live. Can't be done online. But I did have a pretty mind-blowing experience today, and I think I was giving a backstage view of the kind of stuff that Michael does. This was an interview by Michael Neves on LinkedIn today with the organizers of a concert in Helsinki in the middle of the pandemic. They normally would have a big live concert, the May Day concert. Couldn't do it live with thousands of people on the square. They made a 3D model of the square and the church behind it. They put that into a gaming engine, and they invited people to join, to create the avatars and be dancing and screaming and shouting on the square like they normally would do. The band played everything against the green screen and had the most, totally unreal settings created live by the producers. And it was totally mind-blowing. And of course, it's a totally different experience. They had 12% of the Finnish population followed the concert live, and 1.4 million worldwide. And they had 215,000 people creating an avatar to join. So it wasn't the same, but it was something mind-blowing, new, totally different. And I think I felt I got a little peep into if we just keep at it now, this is a whole new avenue of online entertainment, or call it whatever you like. If you want to see that interview with the organizers, it's like a backstage interview. Miguel Nervas did a lot of those, so I'll put the link in the chat. And there's also a backstage video, which is fascinating to watch. And I think this is leading edge in parts of what's happening now online, but that scares the hell out of me and probably scares the hell out of most meeting planners. So, let's get back to talk about the small, simple, but really big things you can still do. You don't need a gaming engine to go online in a good way. But Michael, you recognize, I can see you smiling. You recognize my story.
We are looking at a lot in all the VR world also.
Yeah,
and
Yeah,
this
we
is
also tried the VR thing.
This is definitely a good transition into the VR question. Of course, we've seen the rise of many virtual reality events with avatars, and it sounds very far-fetched for teenagers, but we've actually been seeing many medical congresses, and we say that doctors are not the most digital population, but there are thousands of them going around as avatars in virtual events. So what's your take about the virtual reality world for your experiences, Michael? What are your reflections about the possibilities in that media?
So basically, this is the next step for us. We have been we are launching at the end of the year a VR event actually. We have been looking a lot in how to create something special, new, and do actually big things still, and try to also get all the people together and try to make them to have this kind of interaction with each other. So the VR world has been one of the really interesting parts of it, basically because the type of business we run, it's quite crazy business, all the performers, people get with costume, really crazy things. So basically this avatar generation is part also of really attached to our brand. So this is something we loved about. And actually this is a new step for us also. So we are trying to see how we can nurture all those users that actually they never join this kind of events, and they have to change from a physical event to a virtual event. So we are just launching our first test this year. And for us, it's something that we will keep in mind for the following year. So it's not something that we are testing now until pandemic is done, and then we can relaunch normal events, then everything is done with the virtual reality. No, basically this is the moment where we need to launch this. It's forced by the situation. Also, the users are forced to go into these kind of worlds and new realities. So that's actually the same that happens with all the doctors that had to actually adapt to the situation. And basically, with the type of audience we have, it's also something that it will be kind of easier, because we are talking about young people between 20 to 30, 35 years old. So it's people that is already used to, but it's maybe not used to this avatar thing and this virtual reality. So there is also a step to nurture all those users, and there is also a new chance to arrive to new people. Basically, as we are creating crazy decorations, now with the virtual reality, we can actually build whatever we want. So we can really get like crazy and get like ideas that we would never do in the reality and make it there, and people just get into this new world, and everything can change really fast. So for us, it's the next step. We understand this will be for sure, like in the future, like something to go on and to keep looking at and testing, and see actually if we achieve to get also new audiences, because at the end, now we are breaking all the borders. Before it was, hey, I'm running an event in Barcelona or in London or whatever, so it's people around like London or people around Barcelona or in Catalonia in general coming up. Now there is no border. There it's like people joining from Argentina, from Australia, from Moscow, from whatever country. People are just joining these events, and they are just meeting people from other countries. So it's kind of a second life coming, like in reality. So it's forced to come.
Absolutely. So you definitely see new opportunities
Yes.
by expanding the universe, the creative universe that you always build for your events, but also for reaching new markets that today you're not able to reach.
Of course. Like at the end, for sure. Sorry.
No, I was going to connect with Olena because
Okay.
she would. I saw that she also made some experiments with VR. So I wanted to know on your innovation hub, what have you done on that side?
Yeah, we tried that VR stuff as well, because we have residents who have VR companies, and they provided us the copy of UNIT.City of our venues, and with the kind of small avatars, small people working there. So you also can be engaged into event even more. You can try this, and we didn't have smartphones years ago, but now everyone has. So that's about the VR glasses as well. We will adopt to that, and people will learn how to use it, and that's definitely the next generation of events, our next steps, how to do that, because it definitely, I agree with Elling and Michael that it breaks all the borders, and we have the huge opportunities how to use this tool to make events more immersive, to give this high quality entertaining and not also entertaining educational experience to people. And I think that a few years and we will be talking about the VR events more and more.
Perfect.
Can I pick up on something that Michael said, because I think is very important? It's this recognition that we're not doing what we do now just because we can't meet physically. There is undoubtedly a huge market developing when people start flocking back to the physical venues, as I have no doubt they will. That's the business tourism in effect. But there is a huge market where we'll reach people that we wouldn't otherwise reach with physical events. There'd be like two parallel industries almost. There's the online, there's the physical and the hybrid, online and hybrid. And that's a huge growth market for anyone who's today in the meetings and events business. And that's why I say to everybody, look for the silver lining. This is the opportunity to develop those skills that you need to take your business into the online world. And if we leave aside the spectacular things like Michael and Olena, and they're doing 3Ds and, mind-blowing stuff, that's not so easy for 90% of corporations and event companies. But you can do things which are not all that difficult. You already have the basic skills of how to engage people, how to create events, how to design and plan events. The online bit of it, the bit of technology and that which is different, it's not rocket science. As long as you don't have a mental blockage saying I'm not a techie online person, and you can learn all you need to know online. Go to Meeting Design Institute and do one of their online meetings training courses, and you pretty much got it. But I think when you do that, don't just start throwing webinars at your customers. I think webinars is as bad in the online world as the murder by bullet point was some years ago in the physical meeting. And remember, you can meet with your customers live, face-to-face, online. And don't forget that. A webinar's a webinar, that's one to many. Once you go into a face-to-face, use a face-to-face platform, I would use something like Zoom meetings. Everyone is there with their videos. Everyone can engage. You can put them into discussion groups, 3 or 4 at a time, prepare questions to the speaker, whatever. That's true engagement. And I find there's nothing that engages so much as the opportunity to talk to other participants. And remember, they come to your events not just to hear you talking, they come to events to meet those other people who are also there. And when you look now at the networking applications, I was joining a networking session today with Wonder, and you just move around the screen with your little picture and you join different groups and you meet new people and you meet someone interesting and you agree to go into a private room. Networking in this way, in many respects, better online. Forget about, can online be as good as physical? How can online be better than physical? And there are lots of ways in which it can. And I think we've got to acquire that mindset to keep close and to keep engaging our audience.
So, Elling, we were talking about the potential of these online events and how somehow they could be superior for us to physical events. I have a big question, which is events and organizations do events, of course, to communicate, to collaborate, but also to make money. And we were talking about ROI. So that's a big question. And I would ask this question to the three of you. What's your point of view on the return on investments for these digital events? Is there a business model that can be built behind? What do you think about it?
You asking me? Or... Well, I can kick it off since I'm the ROI guy. And yes, of course. And, I just take from my own experience. I used to do ROI masterclasses in London 5 times a year. I did my first online and I thought, shit, I love going to London 5 times a year. I can't go back to London. It wouldn't be fair to my students because I can teach that better online. And I have tools available for me and my students online, which means they will learn more in the same period of time. Talking about the business model, some of them were shouting and screaming when I said the price is the same. It doesn't matter if it's online or physical. Maybe I save something. You don't have to go to London. You don't have to go away from the office and lose that income you should be generating for all that extra time that it would take. Sorry, you can't do your Christmas shopping in London at the tail end of the training. But I think for all of us, there is potential much better ROI in very many circumstances. And, that's the only thing I would say. Don't think that it's cheap still to go online, because what you do online has got to be even better in many ways than what you do physically. You've got to take a big chunk of that money you'd be spending on venues and catering and all that stuff, and you've got to put it into creating really compelling, engaging sessions. And if you want to benchmark, go back in the program and look at Alex's opening presentation this morning at this event. That was a benchmark. It was a benchmark. Look at his background, look at his lighting, his camera, his microphone, his storyline, look at his camera presentation, his supporting graphics. You need to put those kinds of quality presentations and stuff in front of your customers if you're going to keep them engaged.
Perfect. And how do you feel about it, Michael, on your point of view for ElRow?
So basically, at the end, for us, is a totally change in our business model. Basically, we were running physical events where you are selling tickets and you are selling also like food and beverage. There is also a huge part of revenues. Then, of course, you have the sponsoring side of all this. Basically, it has been quite challenging to sell tickets for like some new product that we are still building, that we are still doing a huge effort on bring all this whole experience to those users. Basically, the VR side will be maybe the first step to just manage to get like a ticketing site. But for our live section so far, it has been always open and totally for free. But in this case, one of the important things is we are going to a digital era. We are way like at the end when we are running an event for like 10,000 people, you're getting like 10,000 people inside the venue. Right now, I have live streams where I'm reaching 12 million people. So basically, there is a huge exposure of your brand and of your partners. So this has been one of the key points for us to say, hey, we have a big audience. We have a big bunch of fans that are just following us. They join our live streams. We are giving way more visibility to our sponsors and partners. So we need to make them understand, okay, this is the situation. The exchange has also changed. So we need to get part, like we are getting there like an investment from our sponsors, and there are more sponsors coming to us telling us, hey guys, I see what you're doing on socials. I see what you're doing on the live streams. I see the numbers of live people. I want to be there. I want to be part of this and be in this exposure. So this has been one of the revenue streams that we really got, like this is one of the key points. But in the future, for sure, we need to go further and find somehow the value on people buying a ticket to go to a VR event and enjoy a VR event and make it more like specific for people that pays a ticket and be able to build more craziness and more like 360 events where the experience is more in deep, going more like in an immersive experience. But this also needs to be involved with a budget and also to invest on this. So it's always this fight against how much I can invest against what I can get back, no? And right now we are in this point of saying, okay, let's try, let's test and see from there where we want to go and where we can get like a revenue stream where we find a balance.
Okay, and Olena, maybe your take on this question, just briefly in a minute, because I would like us to have one more question for the panel, but then go to the audience questions.
Okay, yeah, what can I add that, yeah, development will be not cheap, but when people will get used to this VR tool and these immersive technologies, they will pay for this huge amount of people engaged into events. So definitely there is a profit in this case too. So yeah.
Absolutely. So before we move into the audience questions, I would like us to conclude about how do you see the future and how do you see the return into the normality when COVID starts fading out? So Michael, I think we all, I was saying that the greatest parties that probably we're going to leave are going to be after COVID, because I cannot imagine the energy that there's going to be. How are you thinking about going back to physical events, and what's your plan?
So basically we are ready. The main point is the day someone let us make a party, we will launch a party, whatever place in the world it is. We are already checking like different options, different ways to manage, etc. Also moving like in terms of all the situation, we understand it will be something that will be starting like with 1,000 to 1,000 people, then it will start growing if everything goes fine. So we are basically managing all this situation and understanding the day we can just launch something, whatever country it is, we will go there. So this is one main point to say, if tomorrow I can launch something in Asia and I can just launch 8 events in Asia, I will manage to and I will do it. Because at the end, basically, it's about having a venue, having the contact, and selling tickets. Selling tickets after the situation we had where many people, like lots and tons of people, want to just enjoy one party again and be again like in a normal situation. We are quite sure like the coming back of the events will be like a really good moment for the industry because numbers will go like
Will go
crazy
up.
for
Yeah,
sure.
like crazy. And how about you, Olena? How do you see it? And actually, this is a question from the public that is linked to this. What changes in the industry will stay long term after this pandemic will be over? So in this future plan, what have you learned from this 6 months of crisis, and what do you think you will keep into the future?
Yeah, after the pandemic will end, I guess all the people will run to the events of offline events because they're eager to have some, and they are always asking us when will be the next one event that we used to offline. So yeah, I think that this people are tired a bit of online. Yeah, we have amazing tools, we have amazing opportunities, but still we need to be connected, and we can do that with offline as much as that's the best way to do that. So we are ready to do, like, we are planning to 2021 open air events, open air theaters as well, conferences. We provide all the masks, we even have a robot that can spill the antiseptic and measure your temperature. So like, we are ready to use the lessons learned from the lockdown, and we are ready to have our events as we used to before, and we are ready to mix. We also we want to mix and create hybrid events where the small amount of people is still at the venue, and we have the worldwide broadcast, so we can engage as much people as possible. So that's the key, to be flexible, to build something new, to create new formats, and probably that's it.
Perfect. And Elling, and any words about this? How do you see the industry evolving as we live the pandemic?
Well, I certainly agree with Olena that the hybrid meeting is the future. I think there'll be few meetings in the future which do not also invite those who are not able to come to the physical venue. I think that's, if anything's going to be the new norm, it's going to be that. It's going to be a combination. We can have multi-city meetings with smaller groups meeting physically in different parts of the world and then connecting online. I believe there is a lot of merit in the online model and format, and I think it will grow and it will find new markets, new participants. But the physical will grow as well. I have no doubt that these doctors now running around with 3D goggles, once it's safe, they'll go to Vienna and Barcelona and Singapore and, for their medical congresses, because there is an X factor which you cannot put online. It's that, blocking your head out, getting on the plane. I'm going to spend a week now nurturing my relationships with other doctors and learn new things that I need for my practice. You won't get that feeling in the office. But I think the physical meetings also will have to change. They have now to do more of those things that are unique for the physical meeting. I think there will be more interaction and more networking and more shared experiences. We already started before the corona to talk about the festivalization of events. And that's capturing that which you cannot do online. And all those people now meeting online, they'll want to meet each other physically as well. The more people you meet in the virtual space, the more people you want to meet face to face. So I think the new online stream business will actually feed into the physical, and both will grow.
Absolutely. So it's definitely pretty amazing because what we knew as the events industry, which was mainly physical, and actually webinars, we didn't consider that part of the events industry, is definitely has exploded. And as you say, Elling, we've seen the rise of digital events, but we'll see the comeback of physical events. And those are two industries that will be completely intertwined and connected, leading to competition, but at the same time, collaboration and growth together. So it's definitely exciting times that we're coming ahead. Let's bring some other questions from the public. So what do you think so far by switching physical engagement to digital has brought as a positive impact? So what is the positive impact that we can see in the industry by switching from physical to online?
So here I would say like the main point for us is how we can reach worldwide whatever person. So before we were running an event and this was based for the people that is joining the event and that's all. Right now, when we are running events and it's like open events to worldwide, we can engage to 1,000 on 1,000 more of people. So basically, this is something and this is something it goes attached to become hybrid situation with the digital and the physical side of it, that we know when we are clear that for next year's, whatever happens, if we still with if we can go ahead with the physical events, we will keep still going on with the digital events, because we understand there is a lot of people that engage also events on the digital side. So we want to keep both of them. So I would say one of the key things in this side, it's the amount of people, like how broad you can go in the digital side. This is incredible.
Absolutely.
I would certainly say the fact that, you know, what's happened now has been an eye-opener both to participants and event organizers. And your doctors with the 3D goggles is again that good example. And it will enable us for the future to choose and to combine these two options, and the sum of what we as a corporation or association, as a business or as a not-for-profit adventure, by combining, getting the best into the future of what we've now discovered can be done online, and how we can develop the physical to do what's the unique quality of the physical, then the sum of those two things will be much greater than what we've been able to do in the past.
Perfect. I have one last question here to discuss. So from Katarina Herd. Especially for small companies, it's hard to survive when everything turns into online events. What recommendations do you have for small companies? What is your more crucial advice? So what about small companies?
At the end, it's quite complicated, the situation also, like even for big companies, because it went from 100 to 0. So it's quite complicated. One of the things I would say, it's like for smaller events, what is happening right now, it's that they are just kind of taking bigger spaces where you can have this social distancing, when you can just keep small groups and things like that. So it's trying to find different kind of solutions. Maybe it makes change a bit the experience so far, but at the end, it's somehow the way that smaller venues have been keep working for the last months, at least in many places in Europe, where they have been grouping different people with this social distancing. I would say that, like at the end, it's one of the most important things is how you can just find a new way of running those events. And in the online side, if you're just launching those events also on the online side, it just like there are no borders at the end, so you can reach whatever person you want, whatever place they are. So this is also another thing and another mindset to change, that things have gone actually globally.
So Michael, Elling, Olena.
Yeah, I would like to add that I think that it even gives smaller companies new opportunities. You can reach everyone you want, like you can invite any speaker all over the world. You can engage people all over the world and tell about you. And it's much cheaper now to do an online event because you don't have to pay for the venue, catering, and so on. So if you are creative and you can do any you want, but providing quality content for people. So that's
I would
yeah.
like to add there that as Eventtia, we're a small company. We are in the event industry as technology producers, but our clients, our teams are all around the world. So physical events were not an option, and we never did it. But get together is for us the opportunity to go into the virtual stage and be connecting with others. So my advice for smaller companies is that now it makes it possible to have events. It's really more accessible. I'm really sorry because we're gonna have to stop here. It was an amazing conversation, and I thank you so much, Michael, Olena, and Elling, for your time and your insights today.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I wish you all a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.